All right, YouTube, we are back with part 2 of our Ticketstock setup. This is more vlog content from Free Play. You asked for it. We're going to keep making it. So this is it. We've packed up the trucks, and now we are arriving at the Plano Center. First things first, you got to figure out where you're allowed to actually put your trucks, and it's a big deal because it's going to determine how long you have to walk with these heavy games on dollies. And it turns out it was pretty far away. The Plano Center is a great venue, but it is not the easiest to get into. It's a little older. It's not set up for these gigantic moves. And as always, there's a truck blocking where you really want to park your truck. So this is the facilities crew. They are unloading the trucks, starting to get all of these games that you saw us getting prepped in the last video. And as you can see, moving carefully. And that's actually, we get the question all the time, is like, why don't we do more events? Why don't we create a business doing events and everything? And you'll see pretty soon in this video why it's really hard. There's damage, there's wear and tear, and clearly, this is a lot of staff all working together to make this happen. And so we only do it for a select few groups. Ticketstock, Big Texas Beer Fest, and that's really the primary events that we do every year. And so if you're looking for a pop-up arcade kind of similar to this, we do have Big Texas Beer Fest coming up very soon. So depending on when you're watching this, go ahead and Google Big Texas Beer Fest because we'll also be there next year. So this is a gigantic Tecmo Bowl. They're trying to get it off. It's got great wheels, but of course it has a really huge wooden shroud at the bottom to kind of make it look like it's not movable. And so we've actually, of course, had to repair that numerous times because it rides really, really close to the ground when you're on the wheels. It's also a very heavy game to push that far. So props to Richard and Charles there. And here they go. Now they're unloading the Dirty Driving, Damon and Charles. This is the great Free Play facilities crew. They do incredible work. And, I imagine the 3 facilities guys right there in that frame have probably moved, I'm going to put a number. I'm trying to actually be accurate. Like 40 to 50,000 arcade games in their life. Sometimes the same game, multiple times between locations. But it is an experienced crew. And it's, even so, it's a challenge. This takes a lot of effort, a lot of work. And plus, once you get there and you get all the games on the floor, and that's what they're about to have to start doing, you have to make it look good. You have to just really, really focus on presenting this arcade in a way that'll get people to play it, that'll also be in your allotted space, and also that you find where your power is going to come from. Because, of course, like a lot of conventions, they don't even give you power. Obviously, here we're doing this. These are our friends. They're going to give us all the power we really need. But at the same time, it's always a challenge to work with where that power is coming from and make sure that you have your games in the right spots so that you don't have to have, people walking over cords, stuff like that. So here we go. We've got Centipede coming out. We got that Retro Raccoons I was working on. Look at that. The control panel is on. It has these kind of like pneumatic lift to hold it up so that you can replace those cup holders or clean those cup holders like I was in the last podcast. But also, if it's not locked, it'll just kind of go for you. All right, and now we're going to see, and this is it. This is really the reason we do very few of these events. And as you're going to see, as this mix pack comes off, it suffered just a little bit of damage. Something got a little squirrely and nicked that wood post at the top there. And look what happened. Because it nicked that wood post or the side, it broke that original marquee. It might be original. I actually don't know on this unit. And it's really hard to tell because the great thing about mispack is when you make so many of them, and there were so many mispacks made, even back in the early 80s, there were reproduction marquees being made. There were original marquees still being made. And so it gets really kind of hard to tell. But this is an old marquee that just broke, and that's crushing. We don't like that. And you'll see as we get to it, we're going to have all sorts of plans to make it work and to keep this game on the floor. And of course, free play size and the amount of games we have, a single marquee is not going to stop anything. We have probably duplicates of just about every marquee that we have as original and authentic as possible, but it's always annoying. And there's always something that happens. And I've spoken to tons and tons of people who actually do the convention life, and most of them, it's the wear and tear that gets them the most. It's these games that you love that the more you move them, the more you're going to die, and especially when you have to move them into kind of unknown environments. You're having to go to a event center where you're not really sure, you don't have your system set up. Like if we drop a game off at, say, a free play location, we have systems set up, but here it's all, you have to figure it out as you go, each event too, because every layout's different, everything's different. So it's a challenge. And even though that mispack damage is super minor, I obviously wish it didn't happen, and it wouldn't have happened if we didn't do this event. And I imagine we'll probably be back at Ticketstock next year, and this would never be something that would cause us to make a decision like that, but it is what causes us to not do quite as many big events as I think people would like to see us at. It's just a challenge. Most of the people setting up for these conventions, they don't have to move, 12, 15 refrigerator-sized things and weight. I mean, these aren't just the size of refrigerators, they also weigh as much as refrigerators. So it's a tough thing to try to get into this business in terms of arcade event work. And if you're interested in it, more power to you. Just know that stuff like this is going to happen quite a bit. And as you can see, this is them really discovering something must have got squirrely. They're probably trying to figure out, did a game not get packed tight enough? Because they were all strapped, but they were strapped together. Maybe there was a little bit of wiggle room. It leaned forward, touched right there. Obviously did a little bit of wood damage there. We'll have to replace that T molding. But then yes, it cracked this marquee. And of course, that's a small but a real safety concern. Obviously not for Damon here, who is very brave. Very brave, just checking out to make sure that it's all together. But we are going to come up in a second with a temporary fix, and before this really even goes super live, and before we had too many people at this arcade, we had a replacement marquee there ready to go to make sure that no one did get hurt or anything. But it is that's brutal. It's tough, and we hate to see it happen. And these guys have moved many games, thousands of games, and move games almost every day, but you never know when something weird's gonna happen. And in fact, talking to the people who do this almost every weekend, something weird happens like every event, because it's not just you load it in, and of course we're really lucky. There's 4 people here, all working hard to make sure that we are getting these games set up where they need to be, and working together to make sure that no one is having to do more work than the other, all of that. But imagine being a solo person trying to get all of this set up. It would be brutal, and by the end of it, you'd be really tired, and you're probably not going to take it too seriously when you're loading these games, strapping it up again, because you're going to be so worn out. So it is a challenging endeavor, but as you can see, this beautiful pop-up arcade is starting to come together, and you can see, and I'm really proud of this lineup as a pop-up arcade. You've got classics, you've got fighters, you've got like very obscure cool Tecmo Bowl, which of course at an event like the Ticket, being able to drop the original awesome arcade Tecmo Bowl is like a dream come true. So even though it's not the NES version everyone thinks about, or the Play Choice version, oh man, I love seeing people play it. And I actually think it plays really great. It's mostly challenge to get into that game, right? They're long quarters. It's kind of football in arcades generally. Blitz 2, they're so long. Arcades are supposed to be quick, and so we flank it with that centipede, that mispack. They're starting to come together. You can kind of see a style. You can kind of see a plan coming. Looks like they've got the Dirty Drivings. They're going to get set up on the other side, I think next to this Retro Raccoons, because the Retro Raccoons probably going to... And then look, guys, one of the cables had a little bit of wear and damage, and they're going to have to replace that one before we can go live. It's a whole thing. It's constant, and of course there's lots of just like making do with what you have at these events. But at the same time, this is especially for free play. This is kind of a statement of our brand. So everything has to come and be great. So it is it's a beatdown, to be honest, and that is why we do probably fewer than you would think, given how the people who come to the events, they see the pop-up arcade. They don't think about the work that went into it. They just know that they like it and that it's great. And it does make free play look really cool that we're able to participate in this stuff. But as always, it's really important to have that right balance, because if you're sitting there and you're the CEO, you're doing the math, right? You're thinking, geez, these are a lot of hours that went into here. All right, guys, so we've got the final layout set up. Got that beautiful Pleiades. You've got that Killer Queen kind of as the end cap. Got our cool little marketing TV. Go ahead and doing an awesome graphic, an awesome video that kind of gives you a little taste of what free play is about, which is that's what this is, right? This is a true taste of free play. You've got some modern, you've got some indie, you've got some racing, you've got some sports games, and this is it. This is true. We remain the only best arcade and best beer bar winner in the history of all of those publications, but just in general too, has never happened. So guys, behind the scenes action here again at Free Play. Let us know if you like this. Let us know in the comments. Let us know what kind of vlogs you're looking for, because we're doing all the work. We'd love to record it. So if you like this, hit subscribe. See you next time.